Hey, beautiful Kingdom Daughter. Welcome back to the Kingdom Daughters podcast. I'm Angela, your host. And as always, I am so thankful you are here. I hope you're having an amazingly awesome, fantabulous day and week. And oh my goodness, we're at the end of the month. It's crazy. It is insane how quickly this year has gone by. I can't even. So real quick, before I jump in, it is the end of the month. And we've had an amazing time in the KD Collective. If you've not heard about the KD Collective, this is a space and place for you to be encouraged to read your word with accountability and with others and just being able to talk about what you've read. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want to be involved in the group and you want to share and you want to be encouraged by what we're reading and be encouraged to share your thoughts and what God is speaking to you, this is for you. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, you're not sure how to get in your word, you're not sure where to start or what to read, I give you a Bible reading plan. We have 2 live calls every month just to talk about what we've read and what we've learned. And then there's a Facebook group for you so that you can jump in with others and talk about every day what we've read. It has been an amazing journey. I have enjoyed it so far with the girls that are in it right now. And I just believe God has more and more and more. And my heart for you, friend, is to read your word, to have a desire and a burning heart for his word. Because when we get in his word, when we read his word and we understand who he is and who we are in him, and we know his word, there's just so much love and peace and freedom and joy that comes from reading his word, because his word is alive and active and it's ready for you to speak to you. And he has words and he has guidance and he has direction for you today through his word. So it is only $7 a month, friends. I mean, that's a steal. $7 a month. You get a Bible reading plan every month and you get community and accountability. And I truly believe the more you read his word, the more you dive into your Bible, the more you're going to want it. It just creates a hunger and a desire for more. So go to thekingdomdaughters.com/grow if you want to join. Jump in. Let's do this. I would love to have you in there. It's going to be an amazing time. And yeah, just this is the time. Grab hold of this and make it a point and make a decision to get in his word. And this will be an easy way for you to do that. Okay. That is all I have for you on that. All right. So what I wanted to talk about today was a little bit about what Liz and I talked about last time, is overcoming fear. But I was reading something in the Bible and it just had me thinking about a few things. And if you didn't listen to the conversation I had with my friend Liz, I would love for you to go back and listen because it's a great conversation. She has such a beautiful heart. And I fully believe that God is using her and going to continue to use her. So follow her on Instagram, go check it out. If you haven't listened, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing, go listen to the whole thing. I know it's a little longer than normal, but it's a great conversation. Such an encouragement. Anyways, so fear is a liar, traps us, keeps us frozen. It's a tactic of the enemy to keep us from so much in our life, keep us frozen from moving in our purpose. It can literally paralyze us physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. It's ridiculous. And it's straight up from the devil, friends. There is no fear in love, and God is love, period. Okay. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. It is very clear. And God says in the Bible so many times, do not fear. I'm with you. Do not fear. Because fear keeps us from his presence. It keeps us from moving and growing and doing all the things that God has for us and just being built up as the women that we are in him. It holds us back. It holds us back. It makes me think of, if you've ever done those bungee, like, what are they called? The blow up things. And you put the bungee cord around you and you're like trying to run as fast as you can and try to reach this goal. And you put this like Velcro thing out. This may be aging me because they are not really around that much anymore, but you when you put that on, it bounces you back because you can only go so far with that. It pulls you back. That is what fear does. It kind of keeps you in this harness, and you're trying to run this race, and you're running at the fastest pace as possible, and you're reaching for these goals. And fear's like, nope, I'm just going to keep you right here. And it pulls you back because it's a bungee, right? It pulls you right back. No, we can be free of that. We can be released of that bungee cord, and we can run fully with the Lord when we get rid of fear. So again, go listen back to that because it's a great conversation about being free from fear. But today, just on top of this, because I was reading this and I was like, man, this is so good. And it's perfect for the things that fear creates in our life. And what happened here with the Israelites is because of fear, because they were so afraid of the Philistines. They were so afraid of their enemies. They didn't trust God. They didn't believe in God. See what fear does? It robs you of that relationship with the Lord because we start to put it in our own basket. We start trying to think on our own. We start trying to do it on our own because we're so scared that God won't protect us or take care of us, which is a lie. He's our protector. He's our sustainer. He's our supplier, right? Okay, so in 1 Samuel 8, Samuel is getting older. He has been the prophet. He has been the one going around and making sure the Israelites are living the right way and pointing them to the Lord. He had helped them be free from the Philistines. And so in that moment, they tore down all their idols. You know, this is the cycle for the Israelites going around and around. They serve the Lord and then they start serving idols. And then they serve the Lord and they start serving idols. Okay, so they had been serving idols. And so the Philistines were coming in and they called on Samuel and said, please help us, call on the Lord. So he does. And the Lord saves them. And so they tear down all their idols. And Samuel is able to keep them in this season for several years of serving the Lord and not serving idols. Well, then he's getting old and he's starting to pass the baton onto his children. He has 2 sons and he is passing this baton onto them. Well, guess what? Just like Eli, if you read back a few more chapters, the reason Samuel gets called into this position is because Eli, who passed it on to him, his 2 sons were nonsense. Okay. The same thing happens here. Samuel did not learn that from Eli. Okay. He didn't pass on this good, parenting skills, okay, to Samuel. And Samuel has 2 sons who he's trying to pass off this baton to, and they are not serving the Lord. They are not honoring God. They are stealing from the treasury. They're doing all these things, right? It doesn't really give all things, but they're not serving the Lord. They're not honoring him. And so, of course, things start falling apart, and the people are like, this isn't going to work. We need a king. We need you to appoint us a king right now because what we've got going here, you're about to die, and what we've got going on here isn't going to work for us. So you need to appoint us a king. And Samuel's like, what? No way. That's not right, you know? And the Lord tells him, like, they're not sinning against you, they're sinning against me. So just let's let them do their thing, right? But let's in verse or chapter 8, verse 19, it says, but the people refuse to listen. So God gives Samuel like some things. He's like, okay, well, you need to warn them. You need to warn them that if they make this choice, that I will not be with them all the time because they're making this choice and they are not trusting in me. They're releasing their trust in me and they're trying to put their eggs in this basket of this man that they're going to put in charge. Okay. And so it says, but the people refused to listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles. So many good things here, okay? First of all, God had already been fighting their battles. It was only when they were serving idols that they had issues. When they were serving the Lord, he protected them, he guided them, He went before them in battles. There are so many stories about, him confusing the enemy and him going before and him using small amounts of people to conquer thousands upon thousands. Okay. So God was already going before them. He had already made a way, but they chose not to trust. They started seeing that there was like a little bit of a situation going on, and they're like, oh gosh, this is a little bit scary. Samuel's going to leave us with these two guys again, because what had happened with Eli was the same thing. His sons caused all kinds of havoc. Okay. So they're like, oh, not this again. Here we go. And fear crept in, and they're like, we better get control of this. We got to get control of this, and we got to make a different way. Okay. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar, friends? Okay, because that is what we do, right? We're like, oh gosh, that's a little scary. I'm not sure if God's going to take care of me. This is like overwhelming. I'm just going to go ahead and help you out, Lord. I'm just going to put my hand in here and here and here. And why don't I put this in place and this in place? And God's like, hi, I'm right here. I've already taken care of you. I already take care of you. I always have taken care of you. We forget what God has already done. That's what the Israelites did here. They forgot the faithfulness of God and all that he had did. And in that moment, they just got scared and they stopped trusting in him. That is huge, friends. Trust comes from relationship. So they kind of stepped away from him, and they started forgetting. Well, when we step away and when we choose not to, like I was talking about earlier, get in our word, spend time with the Lord, give him everything and trust him with everything. Like we lose that ability to believe that he is who he says he is, because our minds are forgetful. And the enemy is like, yeah, he's not trustworthy. We can't believe him. Oh, this is a little too scary, like a little bit too big for the Lord. Like probably you should, get a little bit of more control over this. Lies, right? The enemy's a liar. He is a liar. Do not believe his lies. Put your trust in the Lord. Do not do like the Israelites and say, man, this looks too scary. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and just take control of this. We do that very often. We want to take control. We're unsure of a season. We're unsure about what our kids are up to. We're unsure about our marriage, whatever it is. And we start to try to take control. That is what they did. The next thing I noticed from this is that they say, we will be like all the other nations. Okay. Comparison. Boom, right here in the Bible. They're looking around and they're like, why are we different? Why aren't we like everyone else? Those people, they're strong and they have an army and they have this and they have that because they have a king. They have a physical king who's ruling over them, which doesn't even make any sense, right? Like, who wants to be ruled over? I don't know. It makes no sense. But they're like, we want to be like everyone else. We don't want to be different. God called them to be different. He called them to be his. And he had shown them over and over and over and over again that he was faithful and good. He calls us to be different. He calls us not to be of this world. We're here, we live here, but this is not our home, right? We are called to live life differently, not to be drawn into what the world is saying, what the world is speaking to us, and finding our identity and our truths and our worth in the world. We're called to find all of those things in the Lord, which is kind of opposite of the world, what the world is selling and what the world is speaking, and can be difficult. It's so easy. We've talked about comparison before, to look around and you're just like, wow, that person has so much and they're so blessed and all these things. Why, I'm just going to, again, with control, I'm just going to take a little bit of that by XYZ, right? And we're not trusting again. Fear causes us to release our trust from the Lord. And now we're comparing and we're wanting to be like everyone else. We're not supposed to be like everyone else, friend. We are not. We're called to a higher standard. We're called to new things, being renewed by his word, being renewed in his presence and refreshed every single day. Okay. So they're like, we just want to be like everyone else. Give us a king, right? Because then he'll lead us and fight our battles for us. It's like in their mind, they're thinking, oh man, the Lord is always leading us into these hard things. Like, I don't want to do these hard things. I just want to have a king do that thing, create an army and do the thing for us. How many times do we do that? This is hard, Lord. Oh, I don't want to do that battle. I don't want to put in the work. I don't want to have to work hard for this thing. I don't want to have to put in so much energy and effort into my relationship with you. Whatever it is, we're like, this is too hard. Let's just put someone else in charge. I'm just going to lean on my pastor and what he has to say. I'm going to just lean on this leader and what they have to say. I don't really need to hear exactly what you're saying to me. I'm just going to lean on these people. I'm going to let that person be in charge and I'll just kind of follow and I won't have to be, troubled by any of this. I can just live my life. Speaking to anyone, because it was speaking to me today. We have got to put our hope and our trust, who we are in him. We have got to put the work in and the effort to love him and have a relationship with him. He is our leader. He's the one that's going to take us to where we want to be. He has the perfect plan for us. He is going before us and making a way. He is the king. He is the Lord. We've got to trust him, friends. Like we talked about with Liz, we can't let fear get in the way and trap us and paralyze us. And so then we start to resort to control, comparison, and walking, and then just like, this is too hard. I'm just going to let someone else do it, right? Okay, we don't want to be like that. So I hope this encourages you today. This is what I'm talking about, friends. There's some good stuff in the Bible. I wrote out my notes here. Obviously, that's not my Bible. Here's my Bible. There's some good stuff in here. We can learn so much, and God has so much for us every single day when we choose to dive in and to hear from him, because he has a word for you. He has things he wants to speak directly to you today. But don't just take my word for it. Like, get in the word and read and hear from him. Can't say it enough. And join the KD Collective if it sounds overwhelming to you, because I'm making it super easy for you. Get in there and read. So the last thing I wanted to just pick out of this scripture is we have got to build ourselves up as women so that we can pass on the baton to our children and they won't fail. They won't be those kids that aren't serving the Lord. When we live a life of wishy-washy and we're not trusting the Lord and we're comparing, and our kids see that, they're not dumb, man. They see everything. They know so much, and they're so much smarter than we give them credit for. They see everything. And when we are not trusting fully in the Lord and not sharing these things that we've learned and what God's speaking to us and moving in our own family, and we're not bringing them along and showing them the way, it's going to be very easy for them to not follow the Lord. Like, look at Eli and Samuel. They're both men of God who God had anointed and appointed. They were walking in goodness. They were ministering people and leading people, and they were calling people out of their idol service. But they did not pass on that goodness to their kids. They missed that mark that they had children that they have to pass the baton on at some point. The same for us. I encourage you, women of God, strengthen yourself up, put on that armor so that you are a strong and powerful woman of God that you've been called to be, and that God has given you that power and authority through Jesus. so that you can pass this on to your kids and the people around you, and that you can love those around you, and that you can show other people and your kids, for those of us that are moms, how to walk with the Lord, and that they will walk with the Lord, and that they can be the next generation, and they can share Jesus with others, and they can be strong and mighty in God's strength and who God is calling them to be. You know what I mean? Okay, I will stop now. I'm getting off my soapbox now. Woo! Anyways, I hope and pray this is encouragement to you and a challenge, that you feel challenged by this in some way. But that is all I have for you. And I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day. Remember, you are seen, you are known, you are loved by God, my friend. Believe God is who he says he is. Receive his amazingly awesome and powerful love, and walk confidently as the beautiful daughter that you are. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye now.